Hello guys, welcome back. You know what time it is again. So this is going to be the third episode of the Grow Garden. And yeah, so in the last episode we made the planting. As you can see, the trees now plant. We cannot plant them on our plots and everything works fine. They have different sizes and different orientations. Just the one thing that's missing is the animation or growing the trees or growing anything. So we will make the animation today. So let's just get right into it. So on the client, which we have in the style player in here, it's pretty empty. And we want to change this emptiness to make it work. So right now we have the tool handler, which just plants something. And with the plant manager, which plants these seeds and plants the models. Yeah, right now when we rejoin, you can see that nothing saves. This will come later on. But for now, just the animation. So we go on the client script, which is in this player script, and we first of all just get a few things. So what we want to do is, since this is going to be kind of a bit long, um, let me just check what we need here, since the client is for everything. Um, so what we need, so let me just scroll down a bit. The script is quite long, about 400 lines. Okay, so let's start easy and just get the local plots, which is going to be equal to workspace and the waypoint child plots. We also need to get our player, of course, so let's do this right now. It's going to be the players the local player. So now that we got the plots and the player, we can start with a simple thing called the function connect plot. So local function connect plot. This, since we need to play this animation for every client, for every plot, since we don't want to have this running on the server. So essentially what needs to happen is when we're here in plot 1, but someone on maybe plot 3 places something, we also want to see their animation. So yeah, we have to check for every single animation. So we get the local p, which is equal to the plots, and then find for shout. No, not the plots, just the plots. And then we find the first shout called planted. Then if p, then and then we need another function, which is called local function connects planted folder. And this is going to be exactly the planted. Then we want to connect the planted folder for the p. And then plots.child edit connect function is going to be child. And then if child is a folder and child name is equal to planted, then we also want to connect the planted folder for the child. Then for every plot in iPairs plots, oh, we don't have to use pairs, in plots get children do, we want to connect the plots with the plots, and then we also just want to do plots.child edit connect plots like this. So then for the connect planted folder, we want to do for underscore comma model in planted get children do, and then we want to do the animation. So let's make a function called start animation for model, and this is going to accept the model, and then we want to start the animation for model, and we want to paste the model in here. So then what we want to do is we want to assumingly do the same thing as here, just put the planted, and then we get the model like this. Then we want to do task.spawn function, and then for underscore, which is equal to 1,50, do if model get attributes planted at, and model gets attributes growth time, then break, and then task weight 0.1. And then we want to start animation for model with the model. So what this does is we just wait 5 seconds, and every 0.1 seconds we check if the model has the attributes. That's just the whole thing. So then in the start animation, we're already at the animation part. So what to do, let's just also tell that this is a model, and it's easier for us to script. So if the model get attribute for the underscore animate hooked, then return ends, and then we want to set the attributes. Just copy the name, and we want to set this to true. Then the local function run anim is going to be there, and then we just run the anim, and then we get attributes changed signal for the planted ads. We want to connect the run anim, and the same thing for the growth time. So then in the run anim, we want to do model set attributes animated false, and then what we want to do, we just want to do some functions, and lastly we want to set the animated to true. And in between, we also want to pass the wait 0.5 seconds. So the first thing we want to do is we want to hide the model parts. So let's go ahead and just start with this function right here. And after this is going to come the pass await. So yeah, we want to do for underscore parts in the model gets descendants do. We want to do part dot transparency. Oh no, we want to do if parts called is a base part, then the part dot transparency is going to be equal to 1. And then for underscore comma texture in I pairs parts gets descendants do if the texture is a texture or the texture is a decal or the texture is a surface appearance, then if the texture get attributes. What's going on? I can't write attributes. And then we want to get the original transparency is equal to nil. Then we want to set the attributes. And lastly, we want to make it 1. Okay. So now this is going to be it. Then we're going to need a function for the local function assign model UUID. Then we want to do local UUID, and it's going to be equal to HTTP servers, and then generates UUID with false. Then we want to set the attributes like this. And then we want to also do this. Okay, so then we want to scroll down and just put this in there again. So after the 0.5 seconds up here, we want to assign the model UID for the model. And then we want to animate the tree growth. So this is going to be the biggest function for today. So let's put this here, and then let's just copy this and paste it here. We can get rid of this, and this is going to be it. So now we just need to animate this. So first of all, we want to spawn a function right here. We want to get the attributes, and then we want to check if one of the attributes is missing. Then we want to get the elapsed and the remaining times. Then we want to get these steps. So we need to also make a new function for the get step parts. So let's go ahead and make this function. So this also accepts a module. Then we get the steps. And then for every part in the model, we want to check if it's a base part and if the part's name can be converted to a number. Then we check if the part has a tree model UID attribute and if it's equal to the model's UID. And then we get the index and we order this table by the index. And then we just get the sorted, and then we just sort the table. And lastly, we want to return the sorted table. So then down again, we have the get step parts and the sorted. And then we need to, let me scroll down. And then we want to check if the sorted is 0. Then we want to return end. And then we want to get the step duration, which is just the growth time divided by the hashtag sorted. So we make an even thing. So then we want to restore the textures. And this is just for a function to restore the textures, which we're going to need later on. So yeah, this is just the same thing as here, just a bit changed. And yeah. Then we want to check if the tree is already fully grown. So if the elapsed is bigger than the growth time, then we want to just do a lot of stuff here. So let me just explain what this does. So for every index in the sorted, we want to get every part in the step because there can be multiple parts. And then we want to restore we want to get the size, the rotation, the base Y position, and the bottom of the part. And then we want to restore all these things and the textures. And then we also will want to create a proximity prompt but this is going to be a to do. And lastly, we want to return. Then we want to have the partial growth. So this is going to be the fully grown. And then we want to have the partial growth. So if something is partially grown, yeah, this is going to be the biggest function for today. So for I, comma index in I pairs sorted do, you want to get the start and the end t. So you really gotta watch this carefully, since if you make an issue here somewhere, it's either just not gonna work or it's not gonna look good. So then we want to get every part in the I pairs steps with the index. Like this. And then we want to get a few things. So we want to get all these attributes. We just format them. Okay, so these are all the things we need to get for this thing, for the part. And then we want to check if once that is already done, and then we also want to restore this thing. Like this. And we also want to restore the textures. And then what we want to do is we want to check if the elapsed is bigger than you start. Then we want to get the progression and some other things. So the progression, the target size, and the target Y. I know this is kind of hard to follow, but the video is going to be too long otherwise. So you can just stop and just copy the writing. And yeah, then we want to create, want to restore the part. So just the same thing again, just for restoring this part now. This is just the same thing as here. You can just copy paste it. And yeah, lastly, we want to make a tween. So it's going to be the tween. Let me just do it like this. So yeah, this is going to be the whole tween. Just make sure you have the tween service added at the top of your script. So it should be here. And yeah, just make sure you have it like this. And then else. In the else, this is going to be not started. We also want to get the starting values. And then we want to set every picture to 1 in the transparency. And then we want to set this part. And then we also want to tween the same thing again. So we delay this until we want to tween it. And then we set the transparency to 0. We want to restore the textures, and then we just tween the size. And then after everything is done, so after this end, I think, then we want to also create the proximity. Like this. Lastly, yeah, I think that's it. So let's try this out. Okay, so let's plot something, and yeah, you can see that the tree is growing. And yeah, the tree is growing very beautifully. Okay, so this is working very good. You can see that it slowly goes from the bottom to the top. Yeah, this is based on how you have set up the trees. So in the trees, you have them named from the numbers starting by 1, and the parts with a lower number will tween first. So it will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's how it will tween. Not like down, not like up, but following the numbers. Yeah. So I hope this video helped you. If you have any problems, just write them in the comments or DM me on Discord or just ask them in my community Discord server. And yeah, thank you all for watching and see you in the next episode. Peace.